3 years in a row we've lost. It's getting to be ridiculous, guys. We're going to talk about why Team USA has not won the Motocross Des Nations in 3 freaking years. Coming up next on the Shredded Edit. Okay, guys, we lost yet again. It's pretty sad, but what are you going to do? So Team USA went in with a pretty dang strong team. I mean, we had our 450 vice champion, Ryan Dungey, our 250 motocross champion, Jeremy Martin, and arguably the second fastest 450 rider, Eli Tomac. Now, Trey Canard did catch fire at the end of the motocross season here in America, but at the time that they had to make the Team USA MXDN selection, Tomac was looking to be the superior rider. So I can't really fault Roger DeCoster or, all the people involved, Mitch Payton, whoever, I believe it's Roger DeCoster is the main influence in picking the team, but I can't blame them for making the decisions that they did at the time. Now I want to get into how the scoring works at the Motocross Des Nations. So this seems really complicated, but it's really not that bad. So there's 3 classes. There's MX1, MX2, and MX3. MX1 is the 450 class, the standard 450 class that generally the top rider from each country races, the top 450 rider. MX2 is the 250 class, so the top 250 4-stroke rider. There's no 250 2-strokes allowed. The top 250 4-stroke rider from each country generally rides MX2, but I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Then MX3 is also 450s. It's technically open, but it's generally just another 450 guy, the second best 450 guy at the time. We sent Ryan Dungey, Jeremy Martin, and Eli Tomac, which on the face of it seems like a really great team. Saturday is all qualifying races. There is a 40-minute practice session on Saturday, but mainly Saturday is just qualifying races. The qualifying races only count for gate pick, nothing more. There's nothing other than gate pick being awarded for finish positions in the qualifying races. So for instance, Team USA qualified 8th on Saturday, which means that in each of the 3 motos on Sunday, they had 8th gate pick for one rider and 28th gate pick for their other rider in that moto. As I said, there are 3 motos on Sunday. The first moto is MX1 and MX2. The second moto is MX2 and MX3. The third moto is MX1 and MX3. So 2 of the riders on each team have to ride back-to-back motos. The MX1 rider does not. The MX1 rider has a moto break in between their 2 motos. When making the selections for each team, it seems like it's not super important who you put on the 250F until you look at how the event is scored. Before I get into scoring, keep in mind that this is Olympic scoring, which means that if you get 10th place, you get 10 points. If you get first place, you get 1 point, and etc. So the lowest number of points wins. Every time a 250F rider is on the track, he is racing against 450 riders. That might not seem like a big deal on the face of it, but it is, because they are scored overall for the moto. They are not scored individually in the MX2 class. For instance, if Jeremy Martin were to finish 3rd in the MX1, MX2 moto, he gets 3rd place points, a la 3 points. He does not get 1 point for being the first 250 rider. So if the second place 250 rider happens to be in 10th out of everybody, he has to take 10 points, not 2 points. So this is why I believe that the 250F rider is far and away the most valuable member of each team. There were a lot of people that were confused as to why Antonio Caroli was riding the 250F for Team Italy, and I believe that is the reason, mainly because they didn't really have a strong 250F rider anyway, and then when you look at how the event is scored, putting your strongest rider on the 250F seems like a pretty bright idea, especially when it comes down to experience and fitness and all of those things. Team Italy was not the only team to do this. For instance, Great Britain had Tommy Searle riding a 250F when he is a 450 rider. Now, he's not the strongest rider of that team, but he was a very strong rider. They could have put someone else on the Great Britain 250F bike. I'm not saying you have to put a 450 rider on a 250F to win, but I am saying that if you don't have a world-class 250F rider, you might be better off putting a world-class 450 rider on a 250. James Stewart has never been to a Motocross Des Nations where Team USA lost. Even though I'm not a huge fan of James Stewart, he always comes through at these type of events. And I think a super team of Villapoto, Dungey, and Stewart putting, Villapoto on a 250F, I don't know how we could lose with that team. Especially considering that we have a drop moto between those three extremely experienced riders. I cannot see us walking away with a disaster from that. I think we would have to win with that team. Jeremy Martin suffered a terrible crash on Saturday during qualifying and ended up actually breaking his foot and 2 toes, I believe. And considering that he rode back-to-back motos on a sand track the day after that is impressive, and he definitely deserves props. To show you how dominant Team France was, they won with a score of 17 points, which is unbelievable considering on average the past 5 years the winning team has had around 25 to 30 points. One of the most consistent teams is Team Belgium. They are almost always on the podium and definitely always in the top 5. Some of the other contributing factors to our losses could be jet lag, which I don't really think is a valid excuse, but it could be. Different food, which again, who cares? Different tracks, which I think is a big factor. I mean, a lot of our US guys have never seen any of these tracks before. And heck, we don't even have a Sandy National over here with the loss of Southwick. The Motocross Des Nations is run by the FIM, which has a different set of restrictions from AMA and MX Sports of the US Nationals. Sound restrictions are a much bigger issue with the FIM than they are here, as well as fuel. We can't run the same fuel that we do here. Also, the Europeans do have full works bikes because they do not have a production rule, where we do have a production rule. Now you might say, well, why don't they just ride works bikes if they can? Well, because these riders have been racing in the US all year on a production-based bike. They're not going to go over to Europe on the Motocross Des Nations on a completely different track with all these different things and then also change the bike they're riding. I don't think that them being on non-works bikes is really a contributing factor, but it's worth noting. I really think we just need to look more into our team selection and not just go with the first and second place 450 guy and then the best 250F guy. I realize that it's a bit of an ego thing to get a 450 rider to step down to the 250F, but you would think they would be honored to ride for Team USA and would do anything, would ride any bike to represent their country. Now you might be saying, why is this stuff all an issue just now? It's been the same for many years. This is true, but giving all the European countries and all the other countries credit, they have narrowed the gap much more in the past couple of years. It's just that now the gap is so small that all these little details are becoming more and more important. We've definitely hit a bit of a slump when it comes to the Motocross Des Nations, but I have no doubt we will prevail and come out a winning team very soon, hopefully next year in France, where Team France will be running 1, 2, and 3, seeing as they're the current champions. It's always pretty cool when the home team gets to wear 1, 2, 3. Hopefully in 2017, when the Motocross Des Nations comes to the US, we'll be wearing 1, 2, 3. This has been the Shredded Edit, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it informational. If you did, feel free to leave a like, share it with your friends, whatever you want to do. Or if not, just keep watching my videos. Really appreciate it, guys. Peace.